Quick video today on the Buck 105 Pathfinder. My dad gave me this knife when I was a Boy Scout, and seen a lot of good wear and tear in use. Tip is almost there. You know, got a few scratches on it. Not too bad, but it's definitely in good used condition. I'm not even sure I'd say it's very good condition, but it's used condition. It has some deer hair from last time I skinned a deer, and everything looks pretty good on it. All the spacers are flush still, kind of dirty in there. This knife is great. I've been carrying this knife since I was a Boy Scout, since my dad got it for me. Used it to skin deer. Used it around the campsite when I used to camp. The sheath, I really like these sheaths. The newer style sheath doesn't have the flap, it just wraps around the handle. I really like the older style sheath. The button fell off after about 15 years of use, so I put another button on there, pretty easy. And well, this knife is a mint in the box Pathfinder. This one is probably purchased in the late 80s or the early 90s. And this one is probably of the same era. We have Buck Pathfinder, made in the US. And I got this as a gift for the guy that takes me hunting because I like the flap sheath. I didn't want to get the newer style sheath, so you can see here the difference. We'll go over the knife. You can find older buck knives with these sheaths on eBay, and they're competitively priced to what you would buy a new knife for, say on Amazon or in a store. You get $50 for a new one, or $50 to $60 for a used one, either in mint condition or in very good condition. So you can see here the profile of both knives is the same. The thickness of the blades is about the same. Both of these knives have the same amount of spacers. Over the years, the number of spacers has changed. Here's the back side of these things. You can tell that the mint in the box knife is quite a bit shinier than the other one. This one is the one I've carried is a little pitted. Now you can tell also a mint knife because right here where the Buck 105 is, that's polished. But then look at the blade. The blade is not as polished. It's got very fine lines running at right angles to the blade. Same thing on this side. You can see the polish down here by the hilt, and then the fine lines going up. If you're buying a knife and you're looking for a mint in the box knife, then that's the type of thing you want to look for. Are all the spacers flush? Is it looking good here? There's usually a, oh, you see my camera there. There might be a little bit of a discoloration here. All these spacers should be good. You should have polish here, polish around here, polish here, and then these fine lines going up and down. No scratches, no polishing. So this guy is mint in the box, and like I said, going to be going as a gift. Here's the sheaths. I've seen a couple of these different sheaths. This one has a nice outlining here, wraps around. The sheath has some very thick saddle leather there. It's got a button. This one engraved with buck. Not sure what these are. This guy used to have a buck stamped in there. I don't think it ever had doesn't look like it had that detail work here. Maybe it did. Maybe over the years it was rubbed off. Now the back of these is a little different. No stitching around here, whereas I've got stitching here. A rivet, a rivet. There's a rivet up in the top there. This one has a rivet and it's sewn in. These sheaths also have a rivet here. And then they're just sewn all the way down here. No rivets in the bottom. And a little bit of hole there. Anyway, buck Pathfinder knife. Fits good in the hand. And it's long, but it's not overly long. And you can use it for meat processing or skinning or just general camp use. Great knife. You can always tell what sheath these are for was they got 105 printed on the back. And that will match. And that will match 105 printed on the blade. Now, I'll show you some of the details that are different between modern production and older production knives. This is a 105 Pathfinder. This is a 102 Woodsman. See, we got 102 right there. This is the newer style sheath. So you can tell the difference. I mean, ignore the size difference because the knives are different sizes, but the newer style just has a leather that covers the blade, and then it has this leather wrap around that will go around the knife handle. And we've got a rivet and a rivet, no stitching. Whereas a rivet, and stitching. So I like the holster style sheaths, these big pouches, because if it's on your belt, it's a lot easier to slide that knife in and then roll the flap down. I'm not really worried about a quick draw, whereas this guy is a little bit harder to get in the sheath right, and then you gotta snap it. That's a little bit more difficult. Now there's another subtle but I think important difference between modern production knives and the older knives, and that is the profile here where the blade ends. If you notice, the profile here is further in and this part is sharp, whereas here there's the profile is further out and you got a step before you get to the blade part. And that's important if you say you want to choke up a little bit on the hilt of the knife, on the handle, and do a little bit of work like that versus like this, because this is you're not going to cut yourself there. But if on the newer production knives you wrap your finger around there, well, this part right there is sharp, so that doesn't really work. So I really liked the Pathfinder, the 105, and I thought I'd like a Woodsman. So my father-in-law got that for me for Christmas. The handle is a lot smaller. Now, I have a hard time fitting that in my hand. It just doesn't feel quite right compared to the Pathfinder, which has a little bit bigger grip to it. Knives are pretty similar, thickness and profile-wise, they're very similar. So, I guess if it came with if the 102 came with a little bigger handle, I'd be happy. And then again, I don't like this profile here. I prefer the older profile. I don't really care for this one. And then again, I prefer the older style sheath. So anyway, I'm happy that eBay and all the great people there have knives to sell. So I'll be buying old production knives, vintage knives if you like, and thought I'd share this with you and some of the stuff I learned about buck knives, and we'll be talking to you later. Thanks.